Hello friends and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from DeeZinesByD and it's been such a long while since I've posted a video, so I hope that you guys will enjoy this one. I have lots of crafty fun packed into this one, and as you can tell from the thumbnail, this one is all about Yana's Poppies collection. So I am definitely a big fan of all of Yana's collections, and this one is no different from all the rest. I absolutely love these poppies and how they turn out. And in this one, it's a little simpler. There's only three products. There is a BetterPress plate, a die, and then there's also a stencil which goes along with the BetterPress plate. And don't be fooled, these products go a long way. That plate is absolutely stunning on its own. Keep in mind you can foil the BetterPress plate. I don't actually do it in my video today, but I have done it in past videos, so you could always check that out. I'll go ahead and put a link above. I think I did it with one of Yana's past releases, but it's really just a fun collection, and I kind of did a whole bunch of panels and I didn't put all of them together to create cards, but it's just you kind of get carried away. Now you can see I'm grabbing all of the older sets, the magnolias, the anemones that are Yana's older sets. They have all of the sentiments in it, so I thought that these would work well here, and I could kind of mix and match the sentiments to go along with the plates that I have here. Now I'm going to be doing a lot of better pressing, and then I'll go ahead and put together the cards in the end, along with showing you how I did the ink blending for the stencils. I'm going to be using some different inks here. So there was this company a while ago called Pigment Craft Company, and they were based out of Canada. I'm in Canada. And so I thought, oh my God, I have to get my hands on these, because for us in Canada, we end up having to pay all these duties and charges for stuff coming over the border. If you're Canadian, you know my plight. But basically, I thought ink pads, it's kind of expensive to get coming over the border, so I definitely want to get my hands on these. They came out with like one set of inks, and they're gorgeous inks. Like, they're beautiful muted tones and like yellows and greens and peaches. But then I didn't see any more, but I thought that this color scheme would work perfectly with these plates. So for the first card, I took the peach colors that I have, and I went from a darker to a lighter tone at the top. I started off with the blush, which is the lightest tone. I came in with Medina, which is the darkest tone at the bottom. And then I tried to blend the two colors in the middle with Himalayan. And you can see the difference in the colors. Probably need to do a little bit more blending, but it came out nicely. Now I wanted to do another panel, which I'm doing here with just the Himalayan, which is just like a peach. You can kind of see the two colors compared there. Now I'm coming in with this really deep green. This is Juniper. Now it's gonna look very bright and vibrant here on the plate, but when this color dries on the paper, it has more of a muted tone to it, which is what I really love about these inks. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of this lately, but ever since the BetterPress came out, but you can use any inks with these plates. I know they recommend the archival inks because those tend to be the best formulation for this plate, but you don't have to use that. And I find that all of the other inks pretty much work well as well, mainly because of the way the plates are. If you feel them, they have like a soft texture to them, which I feel holds the ink really well. So it doesn't matter if you're using dye ink or if you're using pigment ink, it all works perfectly. So for this plate, I'm actually using some bright colors, and I'm using some oxide inks. Now, oxide inks blend beautifully, which is part of the reason why I use them. And also they have that pigment nature to them, so I thought they'd sit on the plate really well and come off nicely on the cardstock. So I like to start with the lightest color. I started with Tattered Rose. In the center, I came in with Picked Raspberry. And in the bottom, I'm coming in there with Seedless Preserves. And don't worry about mixing your inks a little bit. You can always just wipe it off of these ink pads. It doesn't really cause too much of a problem because, as I said, these inks sit on the surface versus being absorbed. And that's why I also started with the lighter tone, and then I can come in with the darker ones and mix it, so that I don't have to worry too much about that contamination factor. So I will go ahead and put this through my die cutting machine. Every time I'm off camera, I'm putting it through my die cutting machine. I come back and you can see the gorgeous result there. How pretty is that? Now for this one, I'm just going to do the plain BetterPress printing with just the archival black ink. And for that one, I think it makes a really nice base to add a lot of color to the florals. And then I will go ahead and print that out. Now for this one, I am using the specific archival ink cleaner in order to clean this off, because the ink is a little harder to clean off. You'll notice with the other inks, I just used ink cleaner. You could use probably just plain old water, but I used stamp cleaner and they came off nicely. But once I used the archival ink, my plate turned colors. But that's normal. Don't worry about it. As long as you're using that cleaner, it's going to make sure it's clean and you're not going to get any contamination when you use the press plate again. Okay, so let's move on to the stenciling. Now, I'll show you a couple versions of this. There are 6 stencils. And I think like the first 4 do the flowers. Those are the first 4. I think the first 4 do the flowers. The last 2 do like the stems and vines. And then the centers are in there somewhere in between. We'll see as we go along. So I'm going in order. I'm doing the stencils in order. So this is the first stencil. And I'm just using some Altenew inks here. I tend to gravitate towards these just because I have them on hand and I have all of the reinkers. So they're the easiest for me to use because I don't have to worry about any technique that I plan to do, because I always have those reinkers, which I think are godsend. So I always try to mention this in my videos. If you're not an avid crafter yet and you're getting into it and you want to invest in an ink, some ink pads, I would recommend trying out a few here and there. And then once you've picked one that you really like, then invest in that brand solely. Get all of the ink pads, get all of the re-inkers, and then you are ready to go, because you'll always have a full set with you to use. And if anything happens or your pads dry out, you always have those re-inkers. So I find that that was one of the best tips that I got when I started crafting, and it's definitely one that I like to pass along. So here I'm using some purples that are like purpley but also have a pinkish hue to them. I think I'm using the Cosmic Berry and Purple Wine, and I'm trying my best, and I think I've also got Lavender Fields in there. So the main purple color is coming from Lavender Fields, and then I'm using the Cosmic Berry and Purple Wine to add that tinge of, sorry, it's Deep Iris, not Lavender Fields. So I'm using Deep Iris for the main purple. And then I kind of come in with the Purple Wine to kind of add more of a pinkish hue in the center of the flower petals. Then I go to the next stencil, and then I do the same type of thing, concentrating the more pinkish hue in the center. However, I'm going to change my tones a little bit. So now I'm using Cosmic Berry and Purple Wine, and I'm going to do that on all of the different petals so that we get a variation of color, but we're still sticking with those tones of pinks and purple. Now, this stencil, I think it's the third stencil, does the centers of the flowers, and I've just used some velvet there, which is like a deep red. And now I'm switching from Altenew back to those Pigment Craft Co. inks, and I'm grabbing like a greeny hue. This one, I think I've gone back to, I think maybe this is eucalyptus. And I'm basically coming in and I'm deepening the bottoms of the leaves than the top portion to create a variation of color. And I think this is stencil number 4 or 5. I'm sorry, I lost count, but we're going in order. So if you kind of look through the video, you can see the order I'm going in, and you'll notice I'm not making it really vivid. I'm just adding like the deepest color near the bottoms, and then I'm lightening it up in the centers because I want this to be like soft. I'm not using a heavy hand at all. I'm very like, if I want the color to be darker, I'll go over it more with a light hand versus just adding a lot of pressure, because as I said, I want it to have a soft, wispy look. So I did the same thing with the stems, and now I'm done, and I'm in awe with this panel. This is my favorite one. It turned out so gorgeous and it looks so professional. I love that you can get this look with this collection. And if you look at the other examples from other designers and from Yana herself, well, I mean, we expect Yana to be a professional, but even other people who you may not be familiar with as crafters, or maybe you are, but you can see it doesn't matter your skill level with this set and with the coordinating stencil here, you can get professional looks and be a complete beginner at crafting. That's what I love about these sets. I love that they're so versatile and they're so easy to use, especially, like I said, if you're new to crafting. Um, I think that if I were to recommend any type of stencils, dies, especially maybe if you're just starting out with the Better Press. And I've got to say, out of all of the products out there, the Better Press has the smallest learning curve. The Glimmer machine, I think, has the biggest learning curve because you have to learn how to regulate that temperature, your shims, the foil. There's a lot of variables involved. With the Better Press, it's quite literally add your ink, line up your cardstock, and put it through your die cutting machine. It's very easy. And then when you have a collection like this, where the plates and the designs are so absolutely gorgeous, it really brings everything together. It's simple to use, the technique is simple, the designs are gorgeous. And I really just I can't say I can't say enough. Like it is just really nice. So if you're starting out and you're thinking about should I get that Better Press? Should I not? I'm gonna tell you I would probably take the Better Press over the Glimmer machine at this point, having both of them, especially if you're someone who's a little bit more impatient with figuring out that learning curve. I would actually start with the Better Press. And it's going to give you a better and more positive experience and allow you to get into crafting a lot more because you're not going to feel like I can't do it because it really is just that simple. Even in, you'll see in my card techniques and even in other people's with the Better Press machine, you can get some inconsistencies in how much ink goes down on the paper, especially with a background like this that has a lot of coverage, but it still looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, don't know if I said it enough, but basically Better Press is the way to go. And I think if you're a beginner, this collection, especially because it's only 3 products, is a good place to start. So with this panel, I've kind of talked over the entire thing, but you can see it's the one with like that muted green in the background. I'm using a lot of peaches and then I'm using reds like that velvet color to kind of darken the centers. I'm using brown in the centers, and I'm going to be honest with you, in the center of those flowers, I'm pretty sure I didn't even pick up any ink. I just took my brown blending brush and just added whatever brown was on there. So it's probably like Rocky Shore Mocha from the Altenew inks. But yeah, that's what happens when I get a bit lazy and I really just want to see the final product. So yeah, definitely with this set, because you're adding, particularly if you've colored in the entire background and you've used a lot of color, I would do the flowers a lighter color and definitely make it more soft and wispy so that it stands out a little more and just so that all the colors are not blending into each other. And then if you say use a really light background, like for example that peach, I still think that wispy look looks the best. That really like come at it with a soft hand, maybe make it a little deeper in the centers, and it creates so much dimension and looks so pretty in the end. So that's my tip for these for the plate and for the stencils, because I find that soft wispy look, it turns out the best. If you want more of a vibrant look, I'm not saying you can't do that, you can. It's just that I find because there's a lot of detail in these poppies, you kind of lose some of it because remember that's being pressed into the paper with ink. And if you're coming on it with a darker ink, you're going to kind of lose some of that detail. Okay, so moving on, I've already kind of moved on in the video here, even though I'm still talking about the BetterPress plate. So we have this background here, the one in black. I didn't actually color that one on screen. I am going to color it off screen. But I am putting together these die cuts for the poppy that is available in the die. So I've gone ahead and I've used some silver cardstock. I've cut out the outline die with the silver cardstock, and then I've also cut it out like the detail portion of the die. And then I also cut out the detail portion with some white cardstock. And now I'm just going to do the inlay technique to inlay all of these pieces. Now there's so many ways that you can do this in terms of trying to get color onto those pieces. I tend to always forget the best way, and then I just go with whatever I can think of. So today I'm not going to be using ink blending for the poppies that I die cut, since we did a lot of that on the BetterPress panel. I'm actually going to inlay these pieces and then I'm going to color them with my alcohol markers. And I'm going to color them on the die cut like this. And because I've used a metallic cardstock, I don't really have to worry. I mean, the alcohol ink will get onto it, but I'll show you a little trick to clean that up after you're done coloring everything in. So as I mentioned, I'm just inlaying all of the pieces here. And despite what it looks like, it's really not that complicated. I'm sure other people may be using BetterPress or not BetterPress, Press and Seal, which may make this technique a little easier. Another technique I've used is to basically just cut everything out but not remove it from the white cardstock and then color it in there and then inlay it. And I'm sure you'll see designers using a whole bunch of other smarter techniques than that, which I really can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure there's an easier way. So I chose this way because it's what worked for me. And if you maybe forget your steps and you just inlay it like this, don't feel like you can't color it in still. So I'm grabbing some Altenew Artist markers and I'm grabbing some different colors here. I've got some velvet. I think that's the velvet. Then I've got some crimson, and then I've also got lavender feels. I think this is where I brought in the lavender feels. So I'm starting off with my darkest color in the center, and then I'm pulling it out with a more neutral red, and then I'm gonna finally come out with the lavender fields to pull it out to have more of like a purpley pinkish tone. And you'll see that I'm not doing anything crazy. The last color I'm using here is Peach Perfect or Peach Parfait. I always forget exactly what it's called. I've got it sitting right here. It's Peach Perfect. So basically you pull out the color and you can see the red mixing into a nice peach color, and it looks really pretty. So you'll see that I have some of the red coming onto that metallic cardstock. Now I've colored everything in here because I didn't do anything too fancy with the coloring. And I'm using my colorless blender. This is a Copic one. And all I'm doing is I'm going over that metallic die cut with this to kind of pick up any excess color. You can see I have some red kind of on top there. I'm just going to use this to pick it up, and I'll wipe off the color on another piece of cardstock so that I can kind of clean it as I go. And that's as simple as that. So you don't have to kind of color in the pieces ahead of time and then stick it all together. You can inlay it first and then color it right after. So moving on, we're going to start putting these cards together. And as I mentioned, I used a lot of the products from past releases from Yana's collections for the sentiments. A lot of them are die cut, some of them are foiled. For this one here, I'm using the Spellbinders glitter cardstock. There is a black one I'm trying to find, and I eventually get a piece there. And what I want to do is use it. I can't even remember. What am I using it for? So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull that black cardstock out. Now, keep in mind the Spellbinders cardstock, the glitter one, there is a little bit of a plastic backing on it. So if you do die cut it, you kind of do have to separate it from the plastic a little bit. However, it's not like some cardstocks, which I find just don't come apart, even though they have the plastic piece on there. And on top of it, the glitter doesn't come off on your hand. So it's nicely stuck to that cardstock. It's not messy at all. So I went ahead and I cut out what looks like a frame, but it's actually going to create a border. And the reason why I did this is because I didn't want to waste all of that cardstock. So I just cut out a bit of the center and I kept it aside as a scrap so I can use it for another card, because that cardstock is gorgeous and why should we waste it behind a panel, right? So now I've gone ahead and I've attached my panel there. As I mentioned, this was one of the ones I colored off screen. And again, this product suite is really nice because you have that nice image, that large background image, and it's just really great to kind of print a bunch of those, and then you can just spend some time relaxing, getting some color therapy in and just coloring all those images. So I have this paper here. It's called Artist Tack paper. It's available on Amazon. That's where I got it from. I got this pack like maybe 3, 4 years ago, and it still lasted me till now. It basically just creates a sticker out of your really detailed die cuts. So all I do was put that in there in between the two. You'll notice one side is sticky and one is not. Place it down on the sticky side, push it down so it picks up the sticky bit, pull it off, and then it becomes a sticker. And then you can kind of stick it where you want. And another thing to note is that you can place it down, pick it up, place it down again. It only becomes permanent when you burnish it down. I usually have a lot of questions about that one because it is a godsend, that product. So I will link it in the description below, or you can find it in my Link Deli product list down there. There's a link to that supplies list. It'll be in there. So I've gone ahead and I've attached one of the longer sentiments here. The world is a better place because you are in it. And I foiled that with some gold cardstock on black, with some gold foil on black cardstock. And now I'm adding the friend sentiment, which we cut out of black and champagne glitter cardstock. Now for this one, I'm adding some of these heart gems here. They're just clear hearts and they're really nice. They're like droplets. Since the background is so detailed, I didn't want to add too much more. These are going to kind of just shine there nicely and you can kind of see the background through them. So I thought that I'd add 3 of those little hearts there. And that's the final card. You can actually hardly see those hearts, but in real life you really see them and they look pretty. Now for this card, I'm actually going to use the BetterPress plate to do some dry embossing. So I've attached some dark red cardstock, which is cut to an A2 size, onto the BetterPress plate. I put it onto my rubber mat, and then I still used a sandwich to put it through my die cutting machine. And you can see I got a nice embossed image there. I probably should have added a bit of water to prevent any tearing, but it came out pretty nice. I'm going to use this side, and only because my tape got stuck on the other side, but the other side looks actually really nice. So yeah, I'm just going to cut this panel down a little bit and I'll attach it to my card base in order to put together my card. Again, this is an A2 size card base. I have all of my card bases cut and put aside ahead of time, so I just kind of grab them and go. I'll attach this one here, and since I cut off the edges, I get a little bit of a white border there. Now I have these frames. These ones are not from... They're not from Spellbinders, but I'm pretty sure all of you have some sort of frame die. I'll link this one in the supplies list link down below as well. And it just creates, it kind of gives that card like a nice finished look by adding this on there. So I thought this would look really nice. I've just added some glue and attached that fine frame. And then I thought I'd add some splatter. So I've got some gold metallic watercolor here, and I'm just adding a bunch of splatter onto this card. And as you've guessed it, I'm adding a die cut to this. So I'm going to add the poppy die cut, and I did cut this out separately. I showed you one of the die cuts that I colored in, but this was another one I did separately off camera, and I did this one with gold metallic cardstock. Now I'm using the Hello from this older set from Yana, and I cut that out. These are really nice scripty sentiments. I really like, I love this set. And I'm just going to add the Hello with this flower. I'm going to attach it with some foam adhesive. And there is a shadow die for that Hello if you wanted to use it, but I thought that it would be a bit too much. We've got a lot of layers going on this card anyway. So I thought it would be okay if we just use the plain Hello. Now I'll be using the Artist Tack sticky paper again, semi-permanent adhesive, to attach this. And it should go together nicely. So I do have it kind of hanging off the edge of the card. So anytime you're doing cards like this, keep in mind either you want to cut off those edges or you're going to want to use a little larger sentiment. Sorry, you're going to want to use an envelope that's a little larger. And I did have a video on my channel a long time ago showing you how to alter envelopes to make them smaller, bigger, and things like that. I should probably make another video and share that one with you to show you how to make your own envelopes if you don't have the right envelope size. Otherwise, you could just go a size up from this one. So for my embellishments, I've got some pearl stickers here, which I'm adding. I thought with the splatter, they'd go nicely. And that's that card there. So we'll move on to the next one. And for this one, I'm using that oxide ink background that we created. So all I did was actually I cut off a bit of the edge so that I get a border on the left and right side, but I don't get a border at the top and bottom, just for a little bit of a different look. Now remember the poppy that we colored in, and we kind of erased any overhanging coloring on the metallic portion there? That's the one that I'm adding here because I felt like it went best. It has a bit of a reddish pinkish tone that goes with this. And then for the sentiment, I'm adding the thanks sentiment from that same scripty sentiment set from Yana's past releases. And I used a darker, like reddish cardstock, glitter cardstock, so that it would kind of pop off the page, especially since I'm putting it on the portion of that panel that's like a peachy color, the tattered rose. So it just kind of worked out nicely. I'm grabbing some of these glitter drops here to add because they have a nice two-tone effect in them, and I thought they went nicely with this card. And now that I kind of got those where I want, I'll go ahead and glue them down. And that's pretty much this card done. So I hope you like this one too. It's got a lot of vibrant color, which kind of makes it very appealing to the eye. For my next card, I've got that muted background with the peaches and the green. I did some foiling here. I just foiled it in black. And for this one, I want to do a little bit of a different design here. I want to do like a diagonal sentiment. So I kind of measured where that wonderful die cut sentiment would go. I foiled the UR onto there with black foil, leaving enough room for that wonderful on like that strip. Now I'm cutting the diagonal into that panel, and I'm creating a couple strips of black glitter cardstock here to use on the edges of that diagonal that we cut. And it's going to take a little bit of jigging things around just to get this one right. I did edit this to take out a lot of that extra time where I kind of moved things around to get things in place. But this one does take a little bit of extra work. So I'm adding that black glitter cardstock strip there to kind of create a nice edge. I like doing this. I find it gives it a finished look as well when you add a specialty cardstock on the edge where you've cut a panel down. It looks really nice. And now you can see when I put these together how that's going to kind of look there. Now we need to get this onto our card base. So I've got my card base here, again, A2 size, side folding white, and I've got my strip. Now my strip's a little bigger, which is intended. However, I think in the end I do end up cutting it down just a little bit just to fit it in. I'm grabbing some foam, some craft foam here, because I do want to lift up the panel a little bit. Now I've attached the foam to the back of these, and I'm kind of just marking out where that strip is going to go. And this is all the extra planning and moving things around to get it fit. So I did actually cut a sliver from that strip there to get it to fit right there in the center. You can see I'm kind of pushing it down a bit to get it in. So when I do this, nothing is permanent, okay? I've kind of stuck stuff down lightly so I can still move things around. And then once I've got everything done, then I kind of really press everything down to make sure it's more permanent. So I think that's important to note. So I've added my strip. I'm cutting off all the excess bits. And now I can add that little corner portion there. Again, that's propped up with foam, so we've got some dimension. And then the last thing I've got is the wonderful, and you can see it fits in there nicely. So all I have to do is put this into my artist tack paper there. If I can open it up, it is a little tricky sometimes, especially when you've got a new sheet. But I'll create a sticker here, and then I will attach it and get that card together. And I think I really like this design. As I said, you know, sometimes different cards take a little bit more time in order to get them how you want them, especially when the design's a little bit more difficult or a little different. But there's that one, and I think it turned out really nice. I'm going to add some black clear gems to this, which I think give it a nice look, and it ties in the black from the sentiment and then the strip that we have, since we don't really have any other black in this card, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 little gems there to the end of You Are Wonderful. And then I'll add a few stray gems here and there just to kind of make it look nice and add a little bit of pizzazz. Now, for the next card, and this is, I think, my favorite. You guys definitely have to let me know in the description. And I know this is a longer video, so if you've made it this far, thank you so much for staying with me. I know it's a long video, but it's definitely worth it. There's a ton of design ideas in this one. Yeah, let me know in the description below between, I think it's 5 cards I made here, which one do you like the best? And I'm going to let you know right now that this one is my favorite. And it's only my favorite because of the light colors. The fact that it came out so nicely, like the stenciling came out so beautifully. So you'll see I really don't cover up too much of this background. I have the beautiful sentiment here, which I've cut out of some gold glitter cardstock. It's very thin, it doesn't cover up too much, and I just have one little strip of white with the hello there for hello beautiful. And then again, for my gems, I'm going to use some droplets. These are really nice. I find these work perfectly when you have backgrounds like this where you don't want to cover up too much of the design. You really want that to show through. And that pretty much finishes up my final card for you today. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you stayed tuned till now, thank you very much. I hope that you like these card design ideas and you'll definitely give this collection a try. I do have a link below to the collection. If you were inspired by my video, I would appreciate if you would purchase through those links. I do get a little bit of a commission as an affiliate, and that's at no extra cost to you. And yeah, I hope that something here sparks your interest. Have a great day, guys, and stay tuned for some more videos coming in the near future. Don't forget to like and subscribe for that. Bye.